Hey, it's Dr. Lewis Clark, and I want to thank you for taking time to watch this video because I want to talk to you about something that's super important. It's important to me, but I know it's even more important to you, and that is your brain. And specifically, I want to talk to you about impaired brain function, uh, progression into brain fatigue, and ultimately preventing neurodegeneration. So I want to talk to you about the 5 causes of this. And there are ways to address every one of these to improve brain function. But you need to understand, why am I not as sharp as I once was? Why is my memory beginning to go? Why am I having brain fog? There are reasons for these things happening, and everybody always wants to blame it on, I must be getting older. That's not the case, okay? So our brain should be working well up into our 80s and 90s and beyond. We still have patients in our office today that are functioning on a high level at 90 plus years old. So what are the reasons why your brain might begin to decline? The first thing I want to talk about is blood. In particular, blood flow, which blood carries a lot of different things with it, but the most important thing for affecting your brain function might be oxygen. So your brain has to have fuel, and then one of the fuels that it needs is oxygen. So what would cause a decrease of blood flow to the brain? I'm going to tell you the number one thing across the board. It's not atherosclerosis. Those things are important, but it's sympathetic dominance. When you are in a fight or flight mode, when you're in a stress response mode, that is going to cause the blood vessels in your brain to begin to shrink and not allow as much blood flow to get into the brain and carry oxygen for the cells. This is one of the biggest problems that we see in brain fatigue and ultimately ending up in neurodegeneration. The second one is inflammation. Inflammation, the brain that's inflamed slows down, period, okay? And there are multiple reasons and causes for inflammation, but I'm going to give you one of the most common, and that is head traumas. Falls, whiplashes, hitting your head, sports injuries, these type of things that have happened in your past but were never treated properly, so they just kept being continuing like a snowball, rolling downhill and getting bigger, and bigger until ultimately it begins to show up in impaired brain function, and ultimately ends up in neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and things like that. But so inflammation has to be dealt with properly after a head trauma. Very important. Number 3, blood sugar. Blood sugar by itself is just a monster problem for your brain. So I mentioned fuel earlier with oxygen. The other fuel that your brain needs is glucose or ketones. Okay, so most people are operating on a glucose level, and so you have to have optimal glucose levels. If your glucose is too high or too low, both of those rob the brain from getting its essential nutrient and fuel that it needs. Okay, so the last 2 I'm going to focus on. One is mitochondrial fatigue, okay, or what we might call energy failure. Okay, so the failure of your mitochondrial function in your cell to produce energy, which is ATP for your cells. So that is a common problem, and there's lots of reasons for it. Anything from autoimmunities to sedentary lifestyles to other types of nutritional deficiencies, all can cause the inability to make energy for the brain. And if your ability to make energy goes down, the first thing that will be affected is your brain, because it demands the most energy out of any of your organs and systems. Up to 30% of your energy is directly related to running your brain. So your brain is very involved, obviously, in everything that's going on. The next thing, and this is a big one as well, is neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters like GABA and serotonin, you've probably heard of, and dopamine and acetylcholine. These are essential neurotransmitters that need to be in a proper balance in order for you to have good brain function and good emotional and mental health. So these are the just 5. There are more. I mean, there's toxins and other things that we could get into. But I'll tell you this, if you've got any signs of this going on, you need to have this evaluated to find out where is your problem coming from and what steps can you begin to take to reverse this process, because it can improve, number 1. And number 2, it will not on its own. If you don't stop these, even taking drugs will not fix this problem long term. This process will continue and ultimately it will get worse. So I'm here to help. I'm looking forward to seeing you. If I can help you or your friends, contact my office. Keep up with our, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook so you can get the updated videos I do regularly so you can inform your friends and improve your health as well. So live life well, and until next time, God bless.